I'm a huge advocate of therapy. I have had therapists tell me that they love that I persevere
Mm.
and that I am always looking for answers. I know that not everyone can do that, but I just have this knack to just keep it going because I don't like being stuck. I don't like cycles. So I constantly look for the light.
Hi, friends. Welcome to Productive Joy. I am so excited to introduce you to my new friend, Nan. But before I do, I need you to follow this podcast. I know you're getting tired of me saying it, but it's because you're not following yet. I need you to follow so that you find out about wonderful guests and their wonderful stories. And today is absolutely no exception. So go hit follow, subscribe, wherever you're watching, and make sure that you get a little more productive joy delivered directly to you. Today, we have a fabulous guest with us. Her name is Nan Barion. She is so many fabulous things, but a couple that you need to know about. She is a Shine Press author. So if you've been listening to Productive Joy for a while, you know that's one of our sponsors. She is a divorcee who has figured out how to get past that and find her greatest love of all. She runs a support group. This is so interesting for parents who are estranged from their children because of a divorce or for whatever reason. And she's changing the lives of people all over Pennsylvania because of it. And today she's our guest. Nan, welcome to Productive Joy.
Hi, thank you for having me.
I am thrilled to have you. And I want to start by just giving you a chance to give us like this 30-second, oh my gosh, this is going to be the best episode ever moment. So why don't you take it?
That's a lot of pressure. As I have said in the past, I believe in speaking about the hard things, talking about the hard things. And that's one of the issues I cover in my book. It's also one of the reasons I started the support group. And I have been a survivor of suicidal attempts. And I have also, as I mentioned, been a parent who's estranged from her child, one of her children. And I just feel that the more we can talk about these things, the less the stigma becomes a burden and the less shame we have carrying these things. So that's why I try to pepper my stories with humor to make them more relatable. But I just feel that the more light you can shine on it, the better things will become.
100%. And it's so brave of you, Nan, to take this could have been tragedy and all of the things that came from it, right? The divorce led to suicidal thoughts, to, estranged children, to all these things that I think we would spend most of our time avoiding. And yet you not only faced it head on, but you're helping other people face it head on. And that is so admirable. And I'm so excited to dig a little deeper into that space. So you obviously didn't start here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what got you to this point? So you can start with little Nan or you can go from wherever it makes sense to start your story that led you to becoming a best-selling author.
Well, it started because I had a lot of people have gone through divorces. I understand that. But I had a lot of unusual circumstances. I was married to someone and he became extremely different during the course of the divorce and extreme behavior. And I just felt the need to, as things were progressing, I was keeping notes of what was going on because it was so unusual and bizarre. And I have been an editor and writer as my past life. Then I became a stay-at-home mom. And as I was going through this, I was keeping notes and saying to my former boss that I wanted to do something with these notes. I just felt like they had to be shared. They made a story. I didn't know in what form. Originally, I was thinking is in a play, perhaps here and there. And then finally sat down and wrote them out. It became this book, and I am happy with the way it came out. I was able to finally, I've always wanted to write a book. I didn't know if I would write a novel or a children's book. I'm surprised it came out this way. But once I took that process and I sat down and did it, it came out pretty easily. And I've had a few people tell me, three, in fact, I can think of off the top of my head, who have said it's like a conversation they're having and they can hear my voice in their head as they're reading it. I know it's a very quick read, they have also told me that, which is funny, I think, in a way. I just had somebody say to me, "Oh, your book, your life story is only an hour and a half." Well, I could have put more into it, but that wasn't the point. The point was to make it relatable, make it humorous. I did do stand-up comedy a little bit, and so I wanted to inform that in my writing.
Okay, well, hold on, because that might explain the fabulous book title that you
Yeah.
need to tell everyone right this minute. Because so the book is about overcoming divorce, overcoming suicidal thoughts, overcoming so many things, right? But your title nailed it. So what is the title of your book, Nan?
The title is Vows, Wows, and What the F. And it's funny because in the book itself, there are quite a few of what the F moments, as I said, particularly with my ex-husband's behavior.
Yeah.
It just and as I was formulating the story in my head, I was explaining to friends and family what was going on, and I could their jaws would drop as I was explaining, "Oh, you won't believe what happened this time," or "You won't belie" I mean, I got arrested.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, so that was something, there were a lot of like I said, a lot of interesting little tidbits here and there.
So, okay, first of all, brave, very brave. And I love that you were able to tie humor in because levity is what allows us to receive the hard stuff. And like you're talking about, we need we need to talk about the hard things. We need to address them head on. We can't keep hiding from them. I think, we'd like everything to be butterflies and bubbles, but it's not. And I created productive joy because I don't think that work and fun have to be mutually exclusive, right?
Right.
But productive joy doesn't mean butterflies and bubbles. It doesn't mean that you're happy all the time. It means
Yes.
that you are being productive and choosing joy, right? At least that's
Yeah.
what I hear when I hear productive joy. When you hear productive joy, what do you hear?
I believe the same. I feel that you do need to look for it, and you need to think of what it is for you. In other words, I really gravitate towards music,
Mm.
and listening to music is like a balm for my soul. And just this morning, I was out and I was blasting my radio. Unfortunately, where I live, I don't hear enough of the music I like. I do like a wide spectrum of different genres. I go from classical to my favorite is 80s synth pop, Depeche Mode, The Clash, um, all these, 80s British Brit pop and all that, because that's when I grew up, that's what I was dancing to when I was in college, and I don't hear that enough here, so I will definitely A Flock of Seagulls, I will do the drum solo as I'm driving along and all that stuff, I love that, but I also listen to some quirky things. I've discovered, Parisian cafe music.
Oh, that's
Takes some
exciting.
back when you go, it's like accordion music, something that you would hear if you were sitting at a cafe enjoying a demi-tasse of espresso or something. I listen to that as I'm working to get some, background noise. But someone also turned me on to sea shanties.
The shanties.
Sea shanties, and it just cracks me up. So, it's a little something that'll pick you up. You start listening to it, and it's just funny, and so it gives me, you know humor gives me joy in any form,
Yeah.
so
Well, and I love your definition of productive joy because it really is what you look for and it's that balm for your soul even in the times that aren't cute, right? Like there is not a person listening to this right now who hasn't had one of those uncute moments where life is lifing and you're hitting a wall and everything around you seems to be falling apart and you have to somehow figure out how to not also fall apart.
yeah,
So, if I'm to read your book, which I cannot wait to do, it's right behind you and I can
yeah,
see it. If you're looking, it's that cute pink cover in the back.
yep.
What? Well, yes, absolutely, 100%. What would I learn? Is this more about here's how you overcome? Like, are there specific things for that? Or is it more about here's what I went through and you can get through it too?
I would say it's a little of both, but the last description is probably more accurate, most
Love it.
accurate. I, had a a conversation with my oldest sister. I'm one of 6 children.
Oh, wow.
There was 3 boys, 3 girls, and I'm number 5. I was discussing the book, several years ago when I first thought of it with my oldest sister, and she said to me, and this is in the book. She said, "Well, who would want to read your story?" And I was like, "Gee, thanks." But she had a good point, and she made me take a step back and say, "Well, yeah, why would I be doing this?" I'm not doing it for selfish reasons.
Yeah.
I want to share my story, but why do I want to share it? And how can I make it more relatable?
Right.
And so from that perspective, I am telling my side of things, what happened, but at the same time, I give advice. I did speak to a few other friends who went through the
Yeah.
divorce at midlife as I did, and I got some of their takes on what things should be done. And I just wanted to make it a little bit of a guidebook, we'll say.
I think that's perfect. And I love the humor side of it. I actually helped an author with Jody. So we have to give Jody Costa a shout out right now. For those of
Oh,
you that don't know Jody yet, go to shine-press.com and check her out because she is amazing. But I helped an author who was in a similar situation. She was going through a divorce and she was trying to tell her side of the story and how you can overcome the hard. And I think it's such a powerful story to tell because we read the books that give us hope, that give us some sort of way of knowing we don't have to stay here. We might be here, but we don't have to stay
mhm.
here. And she taught me that you want to be the guide in the story, not the hero. You want the reader to be the hero. And I'm sure she said something similar to you as you were thinking about writing it. But that's ultimately what your sister did. Is she said, okay, if I read this book, what would I get out of it? And
Right.
it sounds like you've done a beautiful job of creating that side of things. Now, we need to back up a second because you just casually dropped in there that you used to be a stand-up comedian. So,
There's I will clarify. I wasn't a stand-up comedian per se. I took 2 courses on stand-up comedy, and I had to perform at the end of the
that's
classes.
so
And
fun.
the first time, I don't know why, it slipped my mind. Maybe I didn't completely read the syllabus. So when we got to the end or at midway point and the professor was saying, "You're gonna be performing," I was like, "What?" It's
Uh-oh.
not what
Oh
I thought.
boy.
But I ended up the first time kind of chickening out, and I sang a drinking song,
Oh.
which was quite humorous. It was something my mother used to sing to us when we were younger. I thought it was a lullaby, and I said to her, she was still alive at the time, and I said, "Mom, remember that song you used to sing to us?" And I, yes, sang it to her. I said, "You remember that? It was a lullaby." And she just started laughing. She goes, "No, that was a drinking song I sang in college." I was like, "Oh." But it really tied into what I was trying to convey that first time around. The second time around was during the divorce and then during COVID. The class was disrupted because of that. And when I went to perform, I did a full routine. It was a 5-minute,
Oh my gosh.
routine. It was so nerve-wracking, but I really wanted to push myself to do
Yeah.
it. And the main reason I did do that at all was because I wanted to be able to add humor into my
Yeah.
writing.
Which I love. Okay, so I want to know what the most ridiculous dating story that you have in dating over 50, like what is tell us the most ridiculous experience you've had.
Well, there were quite a few.
I'm gonna guess because I cannot even
Oh
imagine. I'm
gosh.
so grateful that that is never a scene I'm going to have to be in because oh Lord.
Yes. First and foremost, people have to realize that you have to market yourself when
Oh, 100%.
yeah, and I, did not find that comfortable in the least. I
Well,
did
and
it.
I would guess not only do you have to market yourself, you have to market yourself to the right people. Like you
Yeah,
don't want to just be attractive to all. Yikes.
correct, and it's a nuance that
Yeah.
you have to really learn, and I found it, yeah, I kinda grappled with it somewhat, but I still had my moments and, I could laugh about them now. I I didn't put too much into the book about that for a few reasons. I'm in a relationship now. I have been for 3.5 years, and
Well
it
then.
is light years beyond what I had before, and very loving and very we respect each other, we appreciate each other, and we value each other. Those are our three core values in our relationship. And I didn't want this to be a tell all book because of him for that reason, but also because I thought, I don't know if these men will ever read my book. I highly doubt it, but didn't want to
Of course.
discourage
That was very sweet of you. And
that.
you don't
That
have to
being
use names.
no, but that being said, there is one that was the best, I think. So, I don't know if you're familiar with this TV show, I think it was on TLC called Sister Wives.
Oh, yes, yes.
Okay. The gentleman I met online looked like Cody from Sister Wives.
Okay.
A handsome guy. We had a good rapport through text, and the goal was always, once you got familiar with each other through text, you would wanna meet in person,
Sure.
you get to know them better. So we spoke on the phone shortly thereafter and then made arrangements to have a date. Now he lived an hour north of me. We found, okay, let's meet at this meeting point. It's somewhat halfway to us. And it turns out it was a Sam's Club. And
Oh,
he said, I'm going to be doing my errands at that point. I'll come down, I'll do my errands, and we'll go to lunch. I said, "Fine, that's great. I'll meet you outside of Sam's Club." So I get there, it was a hot day, I'm driving, and I generally run late.
okay.
I have to say, I'm a 15-minute later, and this day I was particularly trying to get there on time to be
Sure.
polite. I think I was a minute late, and I'm pulling into the parking lot, and he's really "Where are you?"
Close. I just pulled in. Settle down.
You froze.
Oh, yeah, you did too,
Shoot.
but I think we're better now. Wait, hold on.
Okay.
Nian can fix it. Nian fix it.
I can fix it.
No, Nian, my guy will fix it, so we
Okay.
won't freeze altogether. But okay, so you pulled into Sam's Club.
Yes, and I got out of my he was waiting in the front. I said, "Fine." And it was a hot day, so I that made sense. He wanted to be where the air conditioning was. And I walk up to him, we say, we probably did a awkward
I'd hug.
hug. I said, "Hello." And he said, "Okay, come on." And I said, "What?" He goes, I have to get my things." I said, "Oh, okay." So
Oh,
our first date involved shopping at Sam's Club.
please tell me he didn't buy, like, Depends or, like,
No,
some horrible thing. Oh my
no, thank goodness. But it was water. He had children and I had children. So, I generally looked for someone who had
sure.
children so we would have that in common. And I believe he was buying them for their sports team. Now, I could not remember, was it soccer? Was it baseball? It probably wasn't football because it was still hot out. So I think I asked, "Oh, what do they play?" And he got angry at me and he said, "I already told you that."
I'm
Wow.
bored.
Like, I'm sorry if you're not the only gentleman I'm speaking to. This can't be exclusive that quickly.
Right.
So that put me off a little, and I tried to make levity out of the situation, and I should have just let it go and said, "Okay, thank you. It's
Yeah,
nice
right. I'm
meeting
gonna
you."
get in my car now, thanks.
Right, but I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt, so I said, "Alright, we're gonna go for lunch afterwards." We did, we went to a nice restaurant, but it just was not a very comfortable lunch,
Right?
and
I
yeah.
can't imagine that a Sam's Club first blind date
Mhm.
would be up there on the list, so
Yeah.
well, Nan, you are delightful, and I have no doubt that you have turned things around immensely. One of the things that you mentioned was this group that you have started with a friend of yours. I cannot imagine as a mother how difficult it is to have an estranged child due to
Mhm.
external circumstances and all of the things, but you've created a support group for
Mhm.
people who are in a similar situation. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Right. It's called Building Bridges, and my friend is estranged from her 2 children, and I'm estranged from my son. My daughter still lives with me. We both, when we discovered that we were in this same situation, I just said to her, I had been thinking about it. I had brought it up because I posted my son turned 25 last October. I posted on Facebook about missing him on his birthday. And I just was overwhelmed with responses from other friends, friends of friends saying, we're in a similar situation. And she was one of them. And I had been thinking about this, that there's got to be something to help other parents in this situation. And so she and I sat down and we hashed out a plan. She found a room for us, and we've been doing it since about April.
Wow.
We have, I think, about 20 members at this point. People come and go. We do have it every week. And we have found that, people will come, one week, they might not come the next due
Sure,
to
sure.
other circumstances. And as I said, we're also learning, being trained by a different support group I had attended while I was going through recovery of, my suicidal attempts and my mental health misdiagnosis, which I speak about in the book as well. And I reached out to the moderator of that support group and I was explaining to him, we're offering this support group for this reason. And in speaking with him, he said, well, do you guys want to come and have training through us? And I thought, wow, that's great. It's
Yeah.
a free service. So we could use that because we're not experts. We're just two moms muddling through trying to provide this comfort and this safe space for people. We have found we not only just have moms attending, I mean, that is the majority. We're finding that it's generally moms who are estranged mostly from their daughters. That's a
Mhm.
high number, high percentage. But we have siblings who have attended. We have children who are estranged from their parents who have
Mm.
attended. And we have fathers who have attended as well. So
Wow.
we're covering, everybody. And it's a much needed service. As I said before, I don't like stigma. I just want to overcome stigma as much as I can in all possibilities.
Well, you just want to take care of people. And that's
Yeah.
what's clear to me, Nan. And I am so impressed with your willingness to take care of people, for your willingness to put yourself out there and talk about the hard stuff. So, how would somebody find you if they wanted to just say, hey, I appreciate what you're doing, or I'd love to read your book, or whatever?
I do have a website, my own website. It is brand new. It is nanbarion.com. I do have a contact form on it, so somebody can reach out to me that way. They can also order my book through Amazon and I believe Barnes& and Noble. Somebody had just told me that recently.
Awesome.
Yeah, and through Facebook, I am listed for Nan Barion with both my personal and my professional because, you have to
Yeah.
do that when you start writing your book. So, and LinkedIn, I am also as Nan Barion author on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, we will make sure that people have all of that information in the show notes. And I do
Okay.
have a couple rapid fire questions for you before we go. Are you ready?
Okay, I'll try my best.
Okay, you'll do great. What is your definition of fun?
Listening to music.
Yeah, you said that. Do you and you mentioned, actually, hopefully everybody caught it, but in your introduction, you mentioned a little Whitney Houston, and we could all use a little more Whitney Houston.
Yeah.
All right. How do you know that you're showing up as your authentic self?
I think when people react positively to me.
That's a good answer.
Thank you.
How do you
I love you
channel?
for that one.
Yeah, no, good job. How do you channel your best self on your worst days?
Oh gosh, I also discuss therapy in my book. I'm a huge, huge, huge advocate of therapy. And I have had therapists tell me that they love the fact that I persevere
Mm.
and that I am always looking for answers. I know that not everyone can do that, but I just have this knack to just keep it going because I don't like being stuck. I don't like cycles. I don't like when my, brain is ruminating. So I do research and just I look for the light.
Well, thank you for looking for the light. I think that's clear. Last question, tough question. If people People by nature really only hold on to one major idea in 30 minutes. What's the one thing that you want them to know today?
Oh, gosh, I want them to know that hmm, I want oh gosh, that is a hard one.
It is. It is.
I think, I've kinda said a lot of the same thing, that, I wanna help people, I want us all to look for the light, I want us all to get along. That sounds so kumbaya.
Yes, but I think what you ultimately want is for humans to recognize that the hard things are part of the good things and that it's okay.
And you had said something earlier that I wanted to circle back to, and that was about looking, that we're not always going to be happy. We're not always going to be having joy at every moment. I did have a friend who has she also has a lot of challenges in her life, whether it's health, her children, etc. And she is one of the most positive people. And I know she wasn't always that way, we have a lot of good discussions, and she said to me, she was talking to one of her children, her youngest, her daughter, and she said to her daughter, "You're not always going to be happy every minute of every day." And when she said that, it really clicked for me, and I thought, "Wow, you're right. Here we are. We're always seeking happiness. We're always looking for this. We're always looking for the best, the brightest, etc." And we can find that, but we're not gonna it's not always sustainable.
Mm-mm.
I guess
Mm-mm.
that's what I want people to know, that it's not always going to be sustainable, permanent, etcetera. But
Yeah.
when you have that foundation, when you have that good foundation, that helps from, going from here down to here, from going from here to here.
Yeah.
If you can maintain a good level in life, you'll be golden.
Yeah. I love that. Well, Nan, thank you. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for being willing to go through the hard things and create a way for others to be able to do the same. Listeners, I need you to grab a nugget or two of wisdom because, as always, there are things we can turn around and use right away. And my goal for you is that you figure out a way to turn fun into action.